Welcome to the Starborne Awakening Library. I'm Ella. Tonight's story is The Woven Blanket. There was once an old woman who lived in a small stone cottage at the edge of a quiet valley. Each winter she sat beside her fireplace weaving blankets, not for sale, not for display, simply to give away. Travelers passing through the valley often wondered why every blanket looked different. Some were woven from bright colors, others from faded threads. Some were thick and warm. Others carried tiny patches carefully sewn into worn places. One snowy afternoon, a young woman knocked on the cottage door. She had recently lost someone she loved. Her heart felt as cold as the wind outside. The old woman welcomed her inside without asking any questions. She poured 2 cups of tea. Then she placed a folded blanket across the young woman's lap. The young woman ran her fingers over its uneven pattern. "It isn't perfect." The old woman smiled. "No, it isn't." The young woman noticed small pieces of many different fabrics. Some looked brand new, others were faded with age, some were smooth, others rough. "Why did you use so many different pieces?" The old woman gently picked up the edge of the blanket. "Every piece has a story." She pointed to a faded square of blue cloth. "This belonged to my husband's favorite shirt." Another patch carried tiny flowers. "My daughter's first dress." A deep green corner had once been part of an old curtain. "It covered our window through 20 winters." The young woman looked closer. "What about this little patch?" The old woman laughed softly. That came from an apron I burned while learning to bake bread." The young woman smiled for the first time in many days. "So even your mistakes became part of it?" The old woman nodded. "Especially my mistakes." She folded her hands. "When cloth tears, we do not throw away the whole blanket. We mend it. When life tears our hearts, we often believe the whole story is ruined." Outside, snow continued to fall in quiet silence. The fire crackled gently beside them. The old woman continued, "Our lives are woven the same way. Joy becomes one thread. Sorrow becomes another. Love, disappointment, hope, fear, friendship, forgiveness. None of them make sense alone, but together they become something warm enough to carry us." The young woman's eyes filled with tears. "I've been trying to remove every painful memory." The old woman reached across the blanket. "If you remove every thread touched by sorrow, you may also lose the places where love once lived." Silence settled comfortably between them, not empty, gentle, healing. As evening arrived, the young woman prepared to leave. She wrapped the blanket around her shoulders. "It still has worn places." The old woman smiled. "So do we." Years passed. The young woman grew older. She became known throughout the valley for quietly helping anyone carrying heavy burdens. Whenever someone arrived with a broken heart, she would place an old woven blanket around their shoulders. Sometimes they cried, sometimes they smiled, sometimes they simply sat in silence, and somehow they always seemed a little warmer when they left. No one ever asked whether the blanket was perfect. Its beauty had never come from flawless stitching. It came from every thread that refused to give up on the others. Perhaps our hearts are woven the same way, not from perfect days, but from every joy we welcomed, every sorrow we survived, every kindness we received, every kindness we chose to give, until one day, without even noticing, we become the warmth someone else has been searching for. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. Until next time, be gentle with your heart.